We're back.
I see, okay. I see pretty everyone is back. Okay, so I think we'll start over if you agree. Okay. Okay, so I will keep doing the presentation. Okay. So yeah, as we can see with the little pyramid that we saw, okay? So the option that we have on the bottom of the pyramid, okay, are strategies that are more flexible to help you to take back the control, okay? And what we saw, okay, the last three ones, so register for voluntary deposit, a consumer proposal, or a personal bankruptcy, okay? Those are last resort legal strategies, okay? To get off your debt. Okay. So now I'd like to make a little pop quiz with you, okay? So I will read you a statement, okay? And if you want, you can raise your hand, okay? If you want to answer, okay? So it's true or false, okay? Okay, I see some people. Yes, some people don't have their webcam. Okay, does everybody hear me? Do you hear me well?
Yes, I do.
Yes, you do. Okay, perfect. Okay. Okay. And please tell me if there's any technical issue. Okay. Okay, perfect. So we'll go from there.
Evelyn, the only thing I would like if you could please turn up on your end, because we have you on the max here, but for some reason it's low a little still. The volume.
Okay, my volume is low. Is it better like that?
I say go all the way up, please.
Okay, all the way up. Okay, just gonna go see, but I'll be back. Okay, I'm just gonna go see. Is that better like that or not? I don't know what happened.
It's all good. It's just we try to put it on the TV to hear you better, and
Oh,
it works. But then as soon as we go on the Zoom, it goes back. But it's okay. Just keep going.
okay. So so it's good like that. Okay, perfect. So we'll go from there. Okay, perfect. Perfect. So I will read you some statement, and I would like you to tell me whether you think it's true or false, okay? So true or false? If your income is pretty low, there's no point in adjusting your budget. Is it true or false? Is it true or false?
False.
False, okay. You say false. Do you have another answer? So we had false. Okay, so yes, it was false. Okay. So actually, not having a lot of wiggle room is all the more reason to plan your expenses as carefully as possible. Okay. So yes, and we have good tips in SF that we can help you with that. Okay. So the second one we have true or false. If you sell your property, for example, your furniture, you'll be able to pay your creditors. Is it true or false? Your opinion. Do I have Someone from Yamaska Literacy would like to answer?
I think it depends how much you owe and how much money you get for it.
Yes, yes, for sure, yes. So for this one, well, we had the answer false, but I agree with you. For sure, it depends on the money you owe, okay, and also what you possess, how much money it's worth, okay, also. But here we have the answer. Here we have the answer. So you can sell your property to get out of debt if it's worth enough, okay, like a house or your RRSP. But that's because here they put the example of furniture, okay? That's why the answer is false. So furniture is rarely a good source of income, okay? So we were speaking like tables, like I'm not sure what they were speaking about, but normally you have lower you can't really sell it for much money, okay? That's what you have to keep in mind. So negotiating an agreement with your creditors, so true or false, your creditor has to accept your offer even if it's less than the original amount. In your opinion, is it true or false?
We all said false.
You all said false? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's false. It's false indeed. So creditors are not obligated by law to make arrangement with you. Okay, that's what you have to keep in mind when you do an agreement with your creditor. That being said, they do often agree to negotiate to recover the money they're owed. Okay, so what they have in mind is basically, well, between not being paid at all and being paid less, well, I prefer being paid less, okay, in a sense. So remember that you are the one who defaulted on your payment, okay? That being said, there's still consequences if you don't make the full payment to your creditors, but what you also have to keep in mind is that they do often agree to negotiate, okay? So that's a nice try, basically. So when you want to do an agreement with your creditor, okay? So first, you must figure out how much you're able to pay. Okay, very important to respect your capacity to pay back. Suggest a payment plan that you'll be able to honor. Very important. Okay, so don't make promises that you know you won't be able to respect. Okay. And stress the fact that you want to reach an agreement you'll be able to see through the end. Okay, so very, very important. Okay, so true or false, you have to make payment arrangement with the collection agency as soon as they call you. Is it true or false? Okay, I see someone who's like nodding his head. Is it true or false?
We
Sorry?
think false.
False. So yes, in fact, it's false, okay? So agency must identify themselves by stating their name, permit number, how much you owe, and to whom. Okay, so very important to have those information when you're being called by agencies. They may not harass, okay, so they're not allowed to harass you. Okay, for example, to tell that they will speak about your situation to friends, to your employer. No, they don't have the right to do that. Threaten you or intimidate you. Okay, if you need to contact the Office de la Protection du Consommateur, okay, so the OPC, okay, or the ISEF, so organization, for example, in your area. Okay, so those are some of the recourses you have. Okay. So first, when you deal with a collection agency, okay, you might request a written notice detailing your debt. Okay, so you're allowed to receive a written notice, okay, of your debts, okay, and also if you paid you decide, for example, you pay back a debt to a collection agency, okay, it's important for you to have a written transcript that says that you paid off your debt, okay, so they can't go back to you and tell you, oh, you didn't pay your debt, and so on and so forth. You might also figure out how much you're able to pay, okay? So as we said earlier, okay, important to respect your capacity to pay back. And suggest a payment plan that you'll be able to honor, okay? And it's the key word here, okay, that you'll be able to honor. You can request also that all communication with the collection agency be in writing. Okay, for example, if you're harassed by a collection agency, there's one stuff that you can do. You can request the agency that they reach you by mail. Okay, it lasts for 3 months, but you can renew it if you want. Okay, so it's a good way for example to avoid the calls from a collection agency. Okay. So declaring bankruptcy. So true or false? When you declare bankruptcy, a trustee seizes your property to pay off your debt. Is it true or false?
We say false because they can't kick you out of your house.
Okay, you say false. Do we have other answer? You all say it's false? Yeah? It's true, in fact. It's true. Because they're taking back, as I said, they're taking back you think the thing you possess to pay off the person you owe money. Okay, so however, what you have to keep in mind is that the vast majority of consumer goods are protected by law. Okay, so you have an exclusion, you have $7,000 that are excluded by law. Okay, so for your basic furnitures, okay, I won't go in detail about it, but you have good protection for your basic goods. So for example, furniture, okay, so for basic furniture, TVs, it's normally only one TV that is protected by law. Yes, I had a question from Yamaska Literacy.
Geraldine had a great question.
I'm just wondering what happens, say your house in the middle of the winter, they have a right to kick you out on the street and take your house in the middle of the winter?
Well, you will have it's never you have a certain delay for sure, and you know in advance, when, but it's you that decide to make a bankruptcy, for example. But when you're being seized, you have when it happens that you lose your house, normally there's a bailiff that comes to your house. Okay, the bailiff previously will send you he will send you a written notice. Okay, so you have a 1 time, 2 time, and he will come back, I think, like a 3rd time. So he will come back, the bailiff, okay, and you will have warnings that, hey, you'll be kicked off in that amount of time if you don't pay back, okay, or but that's more when you're being seized. But for bankruptcy, I don't know the exact process, but I feel like it's gonna be with a bailiff. So, but you're not gonna be like kicked out like tomorrow morning, like without warnings. But yes, you will have to leave your house. Does that answer your question?
could happen in the
Yes.
wintertime.
Yes, okay. Okay, perfect. So you will have a couple warnings from a bailiff, but yes, essentially you will have to leave your house. But then if it happens, there is crisis center where you can go, for example, okay? And we saw clients in that type of position, okay? So there is a crisis center, or you can rent an apartment. It's gonna be harder, okay? Because if you don't have a good credit card, good credit scores, but there's way to play around. That's what I like to tell clients, okay? But what you have to keep in mind is the vast majority of consumer goods are protected by law, okay? So for example, computer that is necessary for your work, or one computer for you to function, okay? That's covered. For example, one cell phone that you need for basic communication, dishes, basic clothing, that type of stuff, okay? So true or false? Declaring bankruptcy is free. I see someone nodding his head. Yeah.
False.
Okay. False. Yeah. Okay. There seems to be like a consensus. So yes, in fact, that's false. So declaring bankruptcy for the first time costs at least $1,800. Okay. And for the first bankruptcy, you will have normally, it's a complex process, okay, and it depends. I think there's it depends how much money you earn. For example, it's something like that. But normally people, they pay it during they have 9 months to pay their first bankruptcy, and it's 21 months for the second one. Okay, so you will have a certain time to pay your bankruptcy. Okay, and after that, for the first bankruptcy, your credit score will be affected for 7 years, okay? And it's 14 years for the second bankruptcy you do, okay? So it affects your credit scores for longer, for example, than a consumer proposal, or for example, a voluntary deposit or solutions like that. So this amounts cover the filing fees required under the bankruptcy and insolvency general rules, okay? So yeah, so as I said earlier, you have to plan at least a good $100 to do bankruptcy. Okay. So we have another one. So true or false? There are no consequences to declaring bankruptcy or filing a consumer proposal. Is it true or false? You say it's false? Yeah. So yeah, in fact, it's false. So actually, there are, as we spoke earlier in the presentation, so you have, when you do bankruptcy, you have very limited access to traditional credit, okay, for at least 6 to 7 years. Okay, you're paying higher credit rates for a long time, okay, because you have to stick with the second chance or third chance credit lenders, okay, and upload your self-esteems, okay. So what we spoke in terms of consequences on your personal lives. So you might have you might experience a sense of failure, okay, shame. So you might have that that type of emotion as well. Okay. So in order to prioritize your debt, okay, some ideas that you might consider when you do so, okay. So first, okay, you might pay your essential bill like electricity, heating, rent. Okay, as I said earlier, rent is pretty much the first thing that you pay in a month. Okay, because they're pretty strict at the housing municipal bureau. Okay. So you want to focus on your essential bills, okay? Not necessarily on the phone if it is not necessary for basic communication. For example, if you're not waiting for a call from a potential job, that type of stuff. So you really want to focus on your essential bills, okay? Electricity as well. But it's good to know that they can cut your electricity during winter, okay? So we want to prioritize electricity, even so during summer, for example, okay, because they can cut your electricity during summer, okay. So basically, pay your essential bill so your services don't get cut, okay, and that will give you some sense of security, okay. Second, we can think, for example, about negotiating a lower amount for your highest monthly payment, your highest monthly debt payment, okay. It will give you some breathing room while you get your finances in order, okay. So as we spoke earlier, so try to negotiate with your creditors. Third one that we might think about, determine which creditors you owe the most money to, okay. Because the creditors you owe the most money, okay, normally that will represent highest interest rates for you, okay, often. Paying them back first will help you to make the biggest dent in your debt, okay. So there's the one that are the costlier, okay, they're the one that you should be prioritized, okay, basically. And fourth thing that you might think about, so take care of the debt that creditors have already contacted you about. It will give you a little peace of mind, okay. So basically, those are some tips to help you to prioritize your debt. Do you have a question about it? Do I have question? No? Okay. So we'll go from there. So basically, keep creditors updated on your situation, even if you can't pay them. Hiding doesn't help, okay? So really, it's important to keep the link of trust, okay, between you and your creditors, okay. Other things that we could keep in mind. So as we said, prioritize what is required for your basic needs. For example, debt to the pharmacy. If you really need medication, that's one of the debt you should prioritize. So for example, and you can also prioritize the debt where your bank account could be seized, okay. As I said earlier, normally it occurs when you have a governmental debt, okay. Service cut, for example, if it is summer and you have an electricity bill, okay. Eviction, okay. As I said, the rent is pretty much the first debt you want to pay off, okay. Also consider the consequences that not paying off a debt might have on you, okay. So for example, if you don't pay back your debt at the pharmacy, well, you might not have your medication, okay. So that's one of the first debt you want to pay back. Also, if you don't pay your rent, for example, you might have a field in the municipal housing bureau and you might be evicted, okay. So consider the consequences. Also think about the interest rate and the impact on your credit scores. Not paying back a debt might have, okay. So prioritize the debt with the highest interest rate and the one that might be the worst on your credit report. Okay, and for example, if you have fines and tickets, okay. For example, you have you have a fine for example for driving. Okay, so if you don't pay your tickets or your fine for your car, well, you might lose your driving license. Okay, so those are stuff to consider. Okay, is there a question? Is that clear? Is there someone who'd like to add something? No? Okay, perfect. So I'd like to make a last exercise with you, okay? So basically, I'd only like to think about how you came in to that workshop today, okay? And how you leave today with that workshop, okay? So on a scale to 1 to 9, how stressed do you feel about after completing this model? And you can raise your hand if you want. So on a scale from 1 to 9, 1 would be the lowest, lower stress you could be experimenting, and 9 would be the highest. So how do you feel after that workshop? I see lips moving. Is there someone who'd like to speak? Yamaska Literacy?
Want to do it.
You know,
We
with
are-
some younger starting out people.
Oh, yeah, then it's stress.
Oh, yeah.
So Geraldine made a good point. She was saying how the age of, the participant might be an impact, like depending on where you're at in life. So like, like if you have certain assets, or like I know some people are looking to buy a house, but with the market and inflation, it's not happening. Or like some of us maybe don't have much debt, or some of us have quite a bit of debt. So I think it depends on the person where they're at.
Yes, and it's a very, very good point, and it's something that we closely look at when we do our budget appointment, for example, in SF, because for example, when I think of people, for example, receiving the Sécurité de la vieillesse, elderly, well, the payment after when you're 65 and over. So basically, when you receive that payment for your retirement, most of it is unseizable. There's like small part that you could be seized. So yes, it depends on your age, and especially on your source of revenue. Okay, so for example, someone who knows, okay, he's gonna stay in his rent, okay, he was there for 10 years and goes well with his landlord, and he's able to pay the rent each month. Okay, so the consequences might not be as bad as someone who is young, for example, and who is thinking about buying a house or stuff like that. So yes, age is a big factor. Is there someone who'd like to add something? It can be general feedback about the workshop as well. Yes, Yamaska Literacy?
Bev has a question.
If you have Canada Savings bonds and you have debt, can they ask you to cash those in to pay your debt?
Do they still have them?
Okay, you mean, okay, you have Canada Bounds, and you have, that's, well, I think if you want, I would tell you to come and see us at SF directly, if you want to speak about it, I think that would be because we need to see if you have active. It's a pretty hard question to answer like that on the spot. It depends if you have if you possess for example items that worth some money. It depends also how much you earn per month. It depends on some factors, and as I said, depending where your money comes from.
Especially that they're
Because if money is locked in at the bank, they're not necessarily going to unlock it because you'd have to pay a fee, right? Like if you have RRSPs,
Yeah.
but yet you owe a lot of money, then you won't necessarily just unlock it, right?
Yes, for the RRSPs, when you do, for example, I know if you do a bankruptcy, they can they can seize the amount that you got during the year before you do bankruptcy, but not the year before. So there's like a twist like that. So yeah, it depends when you did your deposit and stuff like that. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thanks.
You're welcome. Is there someone who had another question? No? That's clear? Okay. Okay. So very briefly, I will give you a quick reminder of their services, but Julie spoke about it earlier in the presentation. But yes, and if you want, you have our phone number here, okay? If you want to take notes, okay? So you have our phone number if you want to reach us, okay? And we help people, for example, to do all we saw the prioritizing debts and stuff like that. That's one of the services we offer. So as we said in the presentation, okay, we help people with their budget, okay. So looking at what to do with your debt, okay. We're not a trustee, okay. We won't make a bankruptcy with you or a consumer proposal, but we can help you for example to see if you could negotiate with your creditors, or you could just rearrange your budget, or some solution like that. So we will guide you through the process. We do tenants' rights defense, okay, and especially right now, okay. Probably many of you received their rent increase, okay. So you can call us about it, okay, and we can guide you as well to figure out whether your rent increase is reasonable or not, okay. We also help people to write a formal notice, as well as navigating through the procedure that might follow to the municipal housing bureau. We also help people with their consumer rights, okay. So if you have problems with a car, with a phone, that type of stuff, so you can call us. We can help you to write a formal notice, okay, to someone, for example, you purchase your car from, or stuff like that. And we could guide you through the procedure that might follow to the OPC, okay? And I'm giving workshop like I did today, okay? So if you have, is there's someone who'd like to stay to, I don't know, ask some question I might not answer during the workshop?
Does anyone have any questions?
No.
No? Okay, perfect. So Julie, just before we stop today, we were
Do you want me to mention the questionnaire?
yes, yes, yes.
Perfect.
You wanna give the questionnaire?
I have it in the chat. So I put the link in the chat. If everyone could just take 2 minutes to click on the link and to fill out the form, we would really appreciate that because the feedback always helps us to improve future programming. And if you're not sure how to get to it, let me know and I can always email it to people as well.
Okay. And Julie, my second question was, I see online that we have 5 people. How many people were there in Yamaska? We have 5 people online.
We have one. I can email it to you after.
Okay, okay, perfect. Perfect.
I'd just like to say thank you for the workshop. The stress level for most of whom I know there is not level for ourselves, but it is high when we think of our families, and if they're starting out in debt, it's a little troubling.
Yes, yes. Yes, and today I think I did a great cover up of the consequences of deaths and all the social that can comes to it. But as we said, and for example, when we spoke, for example, about the phone bill, the internet bill, oftentimes when we see, for example, it's people they're older, they don't necessarily need for example, or someone for example that they will comes to the private residence for older people, for example a person who has a debt with Hydro-Quebec. Sometimes we might even suggest a person not to pay off the debt with Hydro-Quebec because the electricity is included with the private residence. When it is included, the electricity with the private residence for older people. So sometimes we have ways like that we can play around. Yes. Julie, is there's a part where participants can write their comments about the workshop?
Pardon?
Is there a place in the questionnaire you sent that participant can write comments about the workshop?
Yeah.
What did you like most?
Okay, perfect. Okay.
Can it be
I will
improved?
share with you after, like
Mhm.
I'll invite you to it and then you can.
Okay, cool.
Oh,
Well,
sorry.
thank you.
Well, thank you very much. I think, did everyone get the link? Everyone is good? Dawn,
Yeah.
did you get the link okay?
Yes, I did.
Perfect. Thank you. And thank you very much, Evelyn. I really appreciate it. And one of the comments I did hear was that it was a very well done workshop.
Very good.
Cool. I'm happy. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I will be sure to send you everything either by lunch or after lunch.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Have a good day, everyone.
Bye-bye.
You too. Bye.